The crystal chandelier overhead costs more than Carrie Larson's entire year of teaching. She knows this because her mother Margaret made sure everyone at the party knew it. 30 years old, standing in a borrowed dress at her younger sister's engagement party, Carrie clutches a hospital bracelet in her trembling hand. Her 7-year-old son's name is printed on it in faded ink. "You're nothing but a burden, Carrie, always have been." Margaret's voice cuts through the champagne-soaked laughter of 200 guests in the Long Island mansion. The words land like a slap, and Carrie feels every eye in the room turn toward her. This is supposed to be Sophia's night perfect, golden Sophia, who's never had a door closed in her face or a dream deferred. But Carrie didn't come here for champagne and small talk. She came because her son is dying. The hospital bracelet in her palm is 3 weeks old. Stage 4 congenital heart disease. The doctors in Manhattan gave her 2 options: experimental treatment that could save his life, or 6 months to say goodbye. The treatment costs $100,000. Her teacher's salary, her savings, her maxed-out credit cards, none of it comes close. So she came to the people who raised her, the people who owed her at least the chance to ask. Her father, Richard, stands near the marble fireplace, scotch in hand, looking every bit the successful real estate developer he's spent 40 years becoming. His eyes slide over Carrie like she's part of the furniture. Cheap furniture, the kind you donate rather than keep. "Dad, please." Carrie's voice cracks, and she hates herself for it. "I'm not asking for a handout. I'll pay you back, every cent. I just need—" "We're not your ATM, Carrie." Richard doesn't even lower his drink. His words are casual, dismissive, like he's turning down a telemarketer. The room feels smaller suddenly, hotter. Carrie remembers being 12 years old, showing her parents the acceptance letter to the advanced music program. They'd glanced at it, then gone back to discussing Sophia's upcoming dance recital. She remembers being 17, working 2 jobs to afford her prom dress, while they spent $5,000 on Sophia's Sweet 16 party. She remembers every single time she was invisible. Margaret steps closer, her Chanel perfume overwhelming. "Sophia's wedding is in 3 months. We've already committed $500,000 to the venue in Tuscany alone. The flowers are being flown in from Amsterdam." She says it like it's supposed to mean something, like imported flowers matter more than a child's heartbeat. $500,000 for a wedding. $100,000 for a life. Carrie's doing the math, and it's breaking her. The crowd around them has gone quiet, not out of sympathy, but curiosity. They're watching a show, a spectacle. The family disappointment begging for scraps at the golden child's celebration. Someone near the bar actually laughs, a high, tinkling sound that makes Carrie's stomach turn. "You've always been dramatic," Sophia chimes in, gliding over in her engagement dress that cost more than Carrie's car, making everything about you. "This is my night, Carrie. Can't you just be happy for me for once?" The words are so perfectly Sophia, so practiced, so cruel in their casual delivery. Carrie looks at her sister, really looks at her. 27 years old, never worked a day in her life, never been told no, never had to choose between groceries and medicine. And behind those perfect eyes, there's something else. Something that flickers for just a second. Not guilt. Something sharper. Something that looks almost like satisfaction. But Carrie's too desperate to decode it right now. She turns back to her father. "He's your grandson." Her voice is barely a whisper. "He's 7 years old. And he's scared. And he's in pain. And he—" "Enough." Richard sets down his glass with a sharp click against marble. "We've made our decision. This family has priorities, and quite frankly, your poor life choices aren't our responsibility. You chose to have a child young. You chose to marry that deadbeat who left you. You chose this life." The room spins. The faces blur into one mass of judgment and expensive jewelry. Carrie stumbles backward, her heels catching on the Persian rug that probably costs more than her son's treatment. No one reaches out to steady her. She finds the door more through muscle memory than sight, her eyes burning with tears she refuses to let fall. Not here, not in front of them. Outside, rain hammers the circular driveway. Carrie doesn't have an umbrella, doesn't have a coat. She walks into the downpour anyway, letting it soak through her borrowed dress, mixing with the tears that finally come. Her phone vibrates. A text from the hospital. They need an answer about the treatment by Monday. 2 days from now. She stands there in the rain, water streaming down her face, and something inside her shifts, hardens, crystallizes into something new. They made their choice. Now she'll make hers. In her car, shivering and soaked, Carrie notices the mail she picked up from her apartment before the party, bills mostly. But there's one envelope that stands out, cream-colored, expensive paper, her name written in elegant script. Her grandmother, Alice's attorney. Alice, who died 6 months ago. Alice, who was the only person in the Larson family who ever saw Carrie as more than a burden. Carrie tears it open with shaking hands. Inside there's a letter, and the first line makes her forget about the rain, the party, everything. Your grandmother left specific instructions about the estate. There's something you need to know about your family, something they've hidden for 30 years. If you're ready to see how Carrie fights back and uncovers the truth that destroys the family that destroyed her, hit that subscribe button right now. This is just the beginning, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The apartment smells like crayons and grief. Carrie sits on the floor of her cramped Brooklyn studio, surrounded by her son's drawings taped to every wall. Dinosaurs. Superheroes. A stick figure family with a heart drawn over it. He made that one 3 days before he died. She's been sitting here for 6 hours, Alice's letter trembling in her hands, reading it over and over until the words burn into her brain. The funeral was yesterday. Her parents didn't come. Margaret sent a text. We're in Tuscany, finalizing Sophia's wedding details. Sorry for your loss. Sorry for your loss. Like he was a pet goldfish. Like his entire existence could be summarized in 4 casual words sent between wine tastings and dress fittings. Carrie's phone buzzes. A voicemail from 2 weeks ago that she's played 17 times. Her son's voice, small and tired from the hospital bed. Mommy, when I get better, can we go to Coney Island? You promised. She never got to keep that promise. The rage starts in her chest, a small flame at first, then a wildfire. Her hands shake as she opens her laptop, pulling up the files Alice's attorney sent. Bank statements, property records, emails going back 15 years. Her grandmother documented everything, saved everything, knew everything. And what Carrie finds makes her blood run cold. 3 months ago, while her son was deteriorating, while Carrie was desperately calling every family member she could think of, there was an email. Sophia to Richard and Margaret, subject line, about Carrie's situation. Carrie clicks it open, and the words blur through her tears. Mom, Dad, I know Carrie's being dramatic about the medical bills, but honestly, we need to think about my future right now. The wedding, the house David and I want in the Hamptons, the lifestyle I deserve. If you give her that money, there won't be enough for me. She's always been the struggling one, let her figure it out. Besides, kids are resilient. He'll probably be fine. The date stamp, 2 weeks before her son died. Sophia knew. She knew how sick he was. She knew the treatment could save him, and she told their parents to let him die so she could have a bigger trust fund. Carrie's vision goes red. She scrolls further, hands shaking so hard she can barely control the mouse. More emails, more evidence. And then she finds it, the real poison. Sophia's affair. Messages between Sophia and David's boss, Marcus Bennington. Photos. Hotel receipts. Charged to Richard's corporate card, the one Sophia's been using for wedding expenses. $50,000 in charges at hotels across Manhattan. All while David was traveling for work. All while planning a $500,000 wedding to a man she was actively betraying. Richard and Margaret knew. They were helping her hide it, using company funds to cover the trail. Carrie keeps digging, and the rabbit hole goes deeper. Alice's estate, the one Richard told everyone was settled, wasn't settled at all. He'd been siphoning money from it for years, using his mother's properties as collateral for failed real estate deals. The restaurant in Tribeca that went under, the Miami condo development that never broke ground, the tech startup that imploded. Alice knew. That's why she changed her will 2 months before she died. That's why she left specific instructions for Carrie. Her grandmother's words in the letter, "They will take everything from you if you let them. Don't let them." Carrie's phone rings. Unknown number. She answers, her voice hollow. "Miss Larson? This is Chen Wu from the forensic accounting firm. Your grandmother's estate retained us before her passing. We've completed our investigation into your father's business dealings. You need to see this." 2 hours later, Carrie sits in a dimly lit coffee shop in Brooklyn, laptop open, meeting with someone Alice had trusted. His name is Marcus, not Bennington. A different Marcus, a cybersecurity specialist who looks more like a college student than a corporate investigator. Your grandmother was thorough, Marcus says, sliding a flash drive across the table. Everything's here. Your father's embezzlement, the money laundering through his development company, how he used your grandmother's name to secure loans he never intended to pay back. Carrie plugs in the drive, and the evidence loads. Bank transfers, forged signatures, shell companies. A decade of financial crimes, all documented with Alice's meticulous attention to detail. There's more, Marcus adds, his voice dropping. Your father and mother are about to lose everything. The investments they made with the money they took from your grandmother? They're failing. Foreclosure notices were filed last week. They're about to lose the Long Island house, the apartment in the city, everything. Carrie's head snaps up. They're broke? Worse than broke. They're in debt. 7 figures deep. Marcus leans back, watching her carefully. Word is, they're scrambling for cash. Any cash. And suddenly, Carrie sees it. The whole picture. The perfect trap. They'll come to her. They'll have to. The daughter they called a burden, the one they dismissed and degraded and let suffer, she's about to become their only hope. Because unlike them, Carrie actually worked for her money. Her teacher's salary, her savings, her careful budgeting, she has what they need. A smile crosses Carrie's face for the first time in weeks. It's not a happy smile. It's something darker, something that tastes like justice. Let's burn their world down, she says quietly, her fingers already typing, already planning. Marcus nods, understanding. What do you need? Carrie looks at her son's drawing on her phone background, the stick figure family with the heart. She thinks about Sophia's email, her parents' cruelty, the funeral they skipped. I need them to beg, she whispers. The way I begged. I need them to feel what I felt. She closes the laptop, the flash drive secure in her pocket. The evidence, the ammunition, the match that's about to burn down the Larson family empire. They wanted her to disappear, to be nothing, to be the burden they always claimed she was. Instead, she's about to become their reckoning. The phone call comes on a Tuesday. Margaret's voice is different, smaller, stripped of its usual venom. Carrie can hear the desperation bleeding through the carefully measured words. Carrie, darling, we need to talk. It's about the house. Darling. Margaret hasn't called her that since she was 5 years old and still useful for Christmas card photos. Carrie sits in her empty apartment, her son's room still untouched behind a closed door she can't bring herself to open. She lets the silence stretch, lets her mother squirm, counts to 10 before responding. I'm listening. There's been some financial trouble. Temporary, of course, just a cash flow issue with your father's investments. We need a short-term loan, $120,000. Just until the Boca project comes through. $120,000. $20,000 more than what could have saved her son's life. Carrie closes her eyes, and she's back in the hospital. Day 17. Her son's hand in hers, so small, so fragile, the machines beeping their countdown. She'd called her father that day, one last time. He'd let it go to voicemail. She knows because she could hear Sophia laughing in the background of his outgoing message, recorded poolside in Tuscany. Carrie? Are you there? I'll do it, Carrie says, her voice steady as steel. But I have conditions. She hears Margaret exhale, relief flooding the line. Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you need, we'll pay you back with interest. No interest, just a contract. Carrie pulls up the document her lawyer prepared, the one she's been refining for 2 weeks. A legal agreement that states explicitly why you needed this money, what choices led to this moment, and a clause that after this transaction we have no further contact, ever. The silence on the other end is deafening. You want us to sign a document admitting you chose Sophia's wedding over your grandson's life, admitting you called me a burden while my son was dying, admitting every single thing you are. Carrie's voice doesn't rise. It doesn't need to. You want my money? You'll confess in writing first. Those are my terms. Margaret's breath catches. Carrie, you can't be serious. I'm dead serious, Mother. Sign it, or lose the house. Your choice. She hangs up before Margaret can respond. The gossip blog post goes live at 9 p.m. Long Island socialite's secret affair rocks upcoming wedding. Carrie doesn't write it herself, she doesn't need to. She just sends the photos and hotel receipts to the right person, and the internet does the rest. By morning, every country club from the Hamptons to Manhattan is buzzing. Sophia's phone, according to the text messages, Carrie intercepts another gift from Marcus's technical expertise won't stop ringing. David called off the wedding in a 3-line text. The Tuscany venue wants their deposit back. The carefully constructed Larson empire is cracking. But the real earthquake is still coming. Richard shows up at her apartment 2 days later, and he's not alone. There's a man with him, late 30s, sharp features, expensive suit. Something about him triggers a memory Carrie can't quite place. "This is Lucas," Richard says, his voice tight. "Your half-brother." The room tilts. "My what?" "Long story. Your father's mistake from before Margaret." Lucas extends his hand, his smile not reaching his eyes. "I've been handling some family business." Quietly. Carrie doesn't take his hand. She's too busy processing, too busy fitting pieces together. Alice's letter mentioned someone, a name scratched out, a warning incomplete. "Lucas has been helping us manage certain situations," Richard continues. "And there's something in his tone, pride, maybe, or threat. He's very good at solving problems." And suddenly, Carrie sees it, the timeline clicking into place. Her ex-husband, Jake, who left her 6 months pregnant, claiming he couldn't handle the responsibility. Jake, who'd been stable until suddenly he wasn't, paranoid and distant and convinced Carrie was cheating. Jake, who took a job in Seattle 2 weeks later, a job that appeared out of nowhere. Lucas's smile widens, like he can see her connecting the dots. "You," Carrie whispers. "You got to Jake. You poisoned him against me." "I handle problems," Lucas says simply. "Dad thought you were getting too comfortable, too demanding. Better to have you alone, desperate, dependent, easier to control." He shrugs, casual as discussing the weather. Nothing personal, just family business. Richard shifts uncomfortably, but he doesn't deny it. He doesn't apologize. He just stands there, letting Lucas speak for him. Carrie's hands clench at her sides. Every struggle, every night alone with a sick child, every moment of desperation manufactured, orchestrated, another Larson cruelty. About that loan, Richard starts, but Carrie's already moving. "Meet me tomorrow night, 9 p.m., the bar on 5th and Union." She looks at Lucas, her eyes ice. "Bring your brother. We'll discuss terms." They leave, and Carrie waits until their footsteps fade before she pulls out her phone. Marcus answers on the first ring. "Did you get it?" she asks. Every word. The recording's crystal clear. Lucas admitting to harassment, manipulation, interference in your marriage. Marcus pauses. "You know this changes everything, right? This isn't just fraud anymore." "I know." Carrie walks to her window, looking out at the Brooklyn skyline. The flash drive in her pocket feels heavier now, loaded with evidence of Richard's crimes, Sophia's betrayal, and now Lucas's confession. Tomorrow night, the bar on 5th and Union. Shadowy, quiet, perfect for what comes next. She thinks about her son's drawing, the stick figure family with the heart. They tried to destroy that. They tried to destroy her. She texts Lucas, "Tomorrow. Come ready to negotiate." His response is immediate. "Looking forward to it, sis." Carrie sets down her phone and allows herself a smile that would terrify anyone who saw it. "You thought you could break me?" she whispers to the empty room. "Watch this." The Long Island mansion has never felt colder. Carrie stands in the marble foyer, her heels clicking against the floor that once made her feel small. Tonight, she's not small. Tonight, she's a reckoning wrapped in a black dress, carrying a leather folder that weighs more than evidence, it weighs justice. Margaret answers the door, her face a mask of forced civility. "Carrie, you're early." "I wanted to savor this," Carrie replies, stepping inside without waiting for invitation. The dining room is set for 6. Richard at the head of the table, Margaret to his right. Sophia sits across, her engagement ring noticeably absent, her face harder than Carrie remembers. Lucas leans against the wall, arms crossed, that same smug smile playing at his lips. And there, uncomfortable in a chair that costs more than his monthly rent, is David, Sophia's ex-fiancé, the man Carrie personally invited. "What is this?" Richard demands, his voice still trying to command authority he no longer has. Carrie sets the folder on the table. "This is a family meeting, a real one, where we finally tell the truth." She opens the folder, spreading documents across the pristine tablecloth like cards in a deadly game. Bank statements, emails, Photos, years of secrets laid bare under the chandelier's unforgiving light. Let's start with you, Dad. Carrie's voice is surgical, precise. Embezzlement from Grandma Alice's estate. 12 years of it. $3.7 million funneled through shell companies. Money that wasn't yours. Money you stole from your own mother while she was dying. Richard's face goes white. You have no proof. I have all the proof. Carrie slides a stack of papers toward him. Alice knew what you were doing. She documented everything. Every fraudulent transfer. Every forged signature. Every lie. Margaret reaches for the documents, her hands shaking. This can't be. Oh, it gets better, Mom. Carrie turns to Sophia, whose face has drained of color. Should we tell David about Marcus Bennington? About the 53 hotel visits while he was building his career? About how you used Dad's corporate card to fund your affair? David stands so abruptly his chair crashes backward. He looks at Sophia, and the betrayal on his face is devastating. You said those charges were for wedding planning. David, I can explain, Sophia starts, but he's already walking out, his footsteps echoing through the mansion like gunshots. The front door slams. Sophia crumples, and for the first time in Carrie's life, her perfect sister looks broken. But Carrie's not done. She turns to Lucas, and her smile could cut glass. And you, dear brother, should we discuss how you sabotaged my marriage? How you fed Jake lies, paranoia, got him that job in Seattle just to isolate me. How you made sure I was alone when my son was dying. Lucas pushes off the wall, his smugness finally cracking. You can't prove any of that. Carrie pulls out her phone, presses play. Lucas's voice fills the room. I handle problems. Dad thought you were getting too comfortable, too demanding. Better to have you alone, desperate, dependent. The recording plays in the silence. Every damning word. Every casual admission of cruelty. That's illegal recording, Lucas starts. New York is a one-party consent state, Carrie interrupts. I was present. It's perfectly legal. And it's already been sent to the district attorney. As if on cue, sirens wail in the distance, getting closer. Richard stands, his face purple with rage. You vindictive little burden? Carrie finishes for him. Is that what you were going to call me? The same thing you called me when I begged you to save your grandson? When I asked for $100,000 while you spent 5 times that on Sophia's wedding to a man she was cheating on? The sirens are at the gate now. Red and blue lights flash through the windows. Margaret sways, her hand clutching her chest. I can't breathe. I can't. She collapses, and suddenly there's chaos. Sophia screaming for an ambulance. Lucas frozen against the wall. Richard trying to run for the back door just as federal agents burst through the front. Richard Larson, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, money laundering. The words blend together, handcuffs clicking. Miranda writes. Margaret being loaded onto a stretcher, her face gray, her body limp. Sophia sobbing in a corner, her perfect life shattered across the marble floor. Carrie stands in the center of it all, and she feels nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just emptiness where her son should be. An agent approaches her. Miss Larson, we'll need your statement. Tomorrow, she says quietly. I need to finish something first. She walks through the chaos, through the mansion that once intimidated her, climbing the stairs to her grandmother's old room. It's been preserved exactly as Alice left it, her request in the will that Richard never got around to violating. Carrie opens the antique desk, and there, in the bottom drawer beneath 50 years of memories, she finds it. Alice's journal. The last entry dated 2 days before she died. Carrie, my darling girl. They will take everything from you if you let them, but you are stronger than their poison. I've set aside a trust $200,000 for you alone. Use it wisely. Use it to be everything they said you couldn't be. Love, Grandma Alice. The check is paper-clipped to the page. $200,000. More than enough to start over. More than enough to build something beautiful from the ashes. Carrie thinks of her son's laugh, the way it sounded like sunshine, like hope, like everything pure in a corrupt world. She clutches the journal to her chest and whispers to the empty room, to his memory, to the ghost of the little boy she couldn't save. This was for you, baby. All of it. She descends the stairs in slow motion, past the agents cataloging evidence, past Sophia's broken sobs, past the empty chair where Richard sat in judgment for 30 years. The mansion's front door stands open. Red and blue lights paint the driveway in alternating waves of color. Carrie steps into the night, her silhouette framed against the chaos behind her. Her face holds triumph and sorrow in equal measure, the paradox of justice served at the cost of everything innocent. She has the evidence. She has Alice's trust. She has the tools to build something new. But she'll never have her son back. And that truth sits heavier than any victory ever could. 6 months later, Carrie stands in a renovated brownstone in Brooklyn, surrounded by boxes and possibilities. The sign outside reads Alice's Promise Foundation in elegant letters that would have made her grandmother proud. $200,000 in seed money. A mission that burns brighter than revenge ever could. She's funding experimental treatments for children with rare diseases. The kids nobody else will help. The families drowning in medical bills and desperation. The ones the system forgot. The ones she understands in her bones. Her friend Maya, a teacher from her old school, helps unpack medical journals and grant applications. "You're really doing this," Maya says, wonder in her voice. "I have to," Carrie replies, hanging a photo on the wall. Her son's face smiles back at her, frozen at 7 years old, forever young, forever her purpose. "If I can't save him, I'll save someone else's child. As many as I can." The first family walks through the door 2 weeks later. A mother with haunted eyes and a daughter who needs a kidney transplant. $50,000 they don't have. Carrie writes the check without hesitation. And when the mother breaks down crying, Carrie holds her and thinks, this is what family should be. On a cool October morning, Carrie takes the subway to Coney Island. The beach is nearly empty, just a few joggers and early morning fishermen. She carries a small urn, nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just her son's ashes and a promise 3 years overdue. "We made it, baby," she whispers, standing at the water's edge. "I'm sorry it took so long." She opens the urn, and the wind carries him out over the Atlantic, mixing with the salt spray and the morning Sunday. Carrie stands there until she can't see the ashes anymore, until they're part of the ocean, part of everything, finally free. She doesn't cry. She's done with tears. Instead, she smiles a real smile, the first in months, and whispers, "Go play, sweetheart. Mommy's got work to do." Across town, in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Queens, Richard and Margaret eat dinner in silence. No mansion, no parties, no country club memberships. The embezzlement trial took everything: money, reputation, freedom for Richard. He served 18 months, got out on good behavior, and came home to a wife who can barely look at him. Margaret's health never fully recovered from that night. The stroke left her weaker, slower, haunted by the daughter who destroyed them, and the grandson she let die. They're not destitute, there was enough hidden away to survive. But survival is all they have. The friends vanished. The social calendar emptied. The Larson name became something whispered about, not celebrated. Sophia's fall was even harder. Her PR career imploded when the affair went public. No firm wants to hire someone who became the scandal instead of managing it. David married someone else, posted the wedding photos where Sophia would see them. The Hamptons house dream died. The influencer aspirations died. Everything golden turned to ash. She works retail now, at a boutique in Soho, selling dresses to women living the life she was supposed to have. The letter arrives on a Tuesday. Carrie recognizes Lucas's handwriting, immediately precise, controlled, calculated even in desperation. "Carrie, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm begging anyway. I was young, stupid, following Dad's orders like they were law. I destroyed your marriage, made your life hell, and I can never undo that, but I'm trying to be better. I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself. Please, can we talk? You're the only family I have left. Lucas." Carrie reads it once. Then she walks to her kitchen, turns on the gas stove, and holds the letter over the blue flame. She watches it curl and blacken, watches Lucas's words turn to smoke and disappear. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some family ties are better severed. She chooses peace. She chooses herself. The nonprofit's first annual gala happens in a Manhattan hotel. Nothing extravagant, but beautiful. 200 people fill the ballroom. Donors, families they've helped. Medical professionals who believe in the mission. Maya stands beside Carrie, squeezing her hand as the lights dim. Carrie takes the stage, and for a moment, she's back in that mansion, small and invisible. But then she sees the faces in the crowd, people who chose to be here, who believe in what she's building, and she stands taller. "I lost my son," she begins, her voice steady and strong. "I begged my family for help, And they chose a wedding over his life. They chose appearances over love, money over mercy. The room is silent, hanging on every word. But here's what they didn't count on. My son's death wouldn't break me. It would forge me into something stronger. Someone who makes sure no other parent has to beg the way I did. No other child has to suffer the way mine did. She pauses, emotion catching in her throat, then pushes through. I won't let other families lose their children. Not when I can help. Not when we can help. Together, we've funded 17 treatments in 6 months. 17 kids who are alive because we refuse to accept no as an answer, and we're just getting started. The applause is thunderous. People rise to their feet, and Carrie sees tears on strangers' faces, feels the weight of collective purpose, understands that this is what victory actually looks like. Not revenge, not destruction, but creation. Building something beautiful where cruelty tried to leave only ruins. After the gala, Carrie walks the Brooklyn Bridge at sunrise, watching the city wake up around her. Her phone buzzes with a text from Maya. You did it. Alice would be so proud. Carrie looks out at the skyline at the city that raised her, broke her, and gave her the tools to rebuild. She thinks about family, the one she was born into and the one she chose. About Richard behind bars and Margaret in her diminished life. About Sophia selling dresses instead of wearing them. About Lucas and his burned letter. She thinks about the 17 families sleeping easier tonight because of Alice's promise. Family's what you make, she says to the city, to herself, to the ghost of the boy who started it all. Not what you're stuck with. The sun climbs higher, painting Brooklyn in shades of gold. Carrie Larson, teacher, mother, survivor, warrior, walks toward it, leaving the shadows behind, carrying light for all the children who still need saving. Justice had its price, she paid it, and now, finally, she's free. If this story moved you, if Carrie's journey resonated with your soul, hit that subscribe button and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the family that breaks you gives you the strength to build something unbreakable. This is Carrie's truth. This is her triumph. And her fight continues, one child, one family, one life at a time.